Hello and welcome to Wild Place Projects in North Bristol. I am professional wildlife photographer Oliver Smart, and today I'm here at Wild Place talking about the new photographic competition. In the last episode I discussed finding and watching your subject and preparing for that perfect shot. Today I'll expand on how to compose your image and light your subject. Choosing the right angle is also very important, and finally I'll mention how to create a sense of depth and place to your final image capture. Composition is by far the most important aspect, ensuring that your subject is suitably framed and either stands out or blends in entirely into the shot. Giving the subject space to look into the frame is a lot better than simply sticking a subject right in the middle of the image. If there is any action too, is there enough space around the subject to capture some of the surroundings? Of course, the subject does not have to fill the frame if you choose. Your subject could be a tiny element of the frame, a small focus in the corner perhaps. The landscape, habitat or surroundings could play an equal part in telling a story about the animal or plant in its wider environment. It may be that the species shows great camouflage, or perhaps actually really stands out against a particular background. In contrast, the subject may fill the frame just with a small part of its body or head. A giraffe, like behind us for example, is a very large animal, so perhaps you might prefer composing an interesting section of its body markings, like a pattern, a myriad of wiggly lines. When composing your image, raise your camera to your eye and move the camera around to see what balances, what fits into the frame. Zoom in and out until you get the desired crop that you want. A useful guide is to consider breaking the view into thirds, either vertically or horizontally, and use the internal viewfinder grid to give you lines in which to follow, balancing the subject on a particular axis or point. You can even use your hands and create a frame to see how the subject will fit into it, zooming further out of course to give you a sense of depth. When photographing landscapes, try and ensure your horizon is straight. Many cameras have a built-in level which is extremely useful. However, you can always correct this in post-processing on the computer, but make sure you allow enough space for the cropping to take place. Use leading lines too to draw your eye in as a viewer, perhaps something coming in from the corner of the frame drawing you towards the centre of the picture. Black and white images are also accepted into the competition, so a woodland could look very interesting with all the light and shade falling throughout. A high contrast image can really appeal too. Now, lighting is a true photography tool and you can maximise it to great potential. If the sun is out, try and shoot your subject with the sun directly behind you, lighting up the subject without too many harsh shadows. If you visit on a cloudy day, this may be much better for shooting softly lit images and in particular flowers or insects. If you need to, use flash or even a torch or reflector to bounce light onto the subject to reduce the shadows. You may even find putting your body in line with direct sunlight can help reduce the severity of the light. With the timing of the competition, as we head into spring and early summer, it is a great time to be outside in nature, and Wild Place Project has this in abundance. Look around you and you will spot blossom on the shrubs and trees, leaves beginning to emerge and unfurl, insects starting to visit flowers, birds singing from perches or stealing food from your picnic table. Wild mammals may be a little harder to find, but surely there'll be an inquisitive squirrel, or if you're really lucky, something wilder in the woods or meadow. Once you have selected your subject and are getting into position, think carefully about the angle you want to shoot. Don't simply point the camera down onto the animal and assume that is enough, but actually get down to its level and shoot it eye to eye. Sometimes dropping below the subject and looking slightly up, particularly with a wide-angle lens, can reveal a really interesting background with sky or foliage behind. Finally, create a sense of depth to your images and think about including some of the habitat too. Try and avoid the artificial human features if possible, unless of course they add something to the image. You'll be better off moving position and trying to get a better angle rather than showing the fence, glass or man-made props in an enclosure. Well, that's it for today, and I hope this has given you some ideas to get you thinking more closely about how to capture something interesting. In the next episode, I'll be discussing tools of the trade and some gadgets and tricks to get the best out of your photography. Until then, enjoy your visit to Wild Place Project, carefully move around the subject and around the site, keeping your eye to your viewfinder and seeing what will make that winning shot stand out.